Spring Bulk Week 8, 179 pounds, boys. Today is leg day, and we're starting off with some calf raises. I absolutely love machine calf raises like this on a little leg press machine. Really, any kind of, leg press will do, or any kind of calf machine. Just whatever you prefer, wherever your foot slips the least, wherever you feel like the most stable and comfortable is probably going to be the best. So I've been experimenting with a couple different machines at this point, and I feel like this machine definitely does give me the best stretch out of any machine that I've used for my calves. So definitely going to use this machine or some variation of it in the future going forward. So again, the crazy stretch, boys, is what gives your calves the greatest growth. Is that the same for every other muscle? No, not necessarily. I think the calves are a very unique muscle, and most people have very unresponsive calves genetically. It seems like you kind of either have them or you don't, Some people can say the same about forearms or other random muscle groups, but I think generally speaking, calves are the most stubborn. And the way that I've grown them the most has been through this means of training, just getting extreme stretches, focusing on that bottom half range of motion. Don't even worry about the contracted position and just load up the weight, right? Spend lots of time paused in that most stretched range of motion. Spend time really digging deep, getting a huge amount of effort in that bottom range. And that's going to yield great results. My calves increased I think it was a quarter inch during the cut. Or nearly a quarter inch, and they had not grown at all from anything previously after I implemented that training method, along with putting them first in all my leg days. So putting them first, doing probably the maximum effective volume, so about 6 sets for every calf session, as well as 2-minute rest times in between sets, and that extreme stretch and progressive overload have been by far the biggest things, and the same to improve my calves. And the same can be said for any muscle group that you want to grow. If something's a weak point, you should put it first. You should give it a little extra time. You should baby it, and it's gonna give you great results. So I'm gonna continue to do that with my calves until they are way bigger than they are now. So a lot of my leg days are going to be calves first for a long time. And I'm cool with that. And I think a lot of you guys should do the same, because if you delegate them to the end of your session, how are they going to grow? You guys see me doing hamstring curls here. I'm maxing out the stack, but boys, I don't have any hamstrings to speak of. So a little bit weird. I'm okay with it though. Eventually, whenever my form is perfect for a set of 20, I'm sure my hamstrings will look quite a bit bigger than they do now. So hoping for that. And that goes with any progressive overload goal, man. If you could bench 405, man, with clean form for reps, you're going to have a bigger chest than you did whenever you could do 315. So the dream really is to not just be able to full stack every machine for reps, but to full stack every machine with excellent form for reps, many reps, and with added weight, right? That is kind of what's going to turn you into a bigger bodybuilder, is that focus on progressive overload. Make sure you overload, though, not just in a powerlifting context or a context of, oh, I just want to get stronger or I want to cheat to grow. You need to do the best form you can with the heaviest weight you can. And sometimes it might look a little sloppy. That's okay. You're testing new waters. You're figuring things out. You're training really hard. It's okay if things get nitty gritty. But the form should get better and better and better, even with the same weight. People like to put very, very specific criteria for progressive overload. But at the end of the day, I would ask, are you stronger or are you weaker? If the answer is, yeah, you're stronger, then you have overloaded that muscle. You have not necessarily gotten more efficient at the task that you're doing, but the muscle may be more efficient in itself. So, I've heard some people argue that if you can do a 315 bench bulked and you also can do a 315 bench after you've lost 30 pounds on the cut, that you didn't actually progressive overload. Yes, technically that's true, because you didn't improve your bench at all, but you have improved your efficiency because now you're 30 pounds lighter. So my criteria is, okay, are you more efficient? If the answer is yes, then that's great, right? If I could do 315 for 8 on bench and my form was sloppy and I bounced it off my chest, I love these chest day analogies for leg day, but you get what I'm saying. If I could do 315 for 8, sloppy form, then in the future, I can do 315 for 8 with excellent form and a pause, and I can explode off my chest and, super slow eccentric. That, in my opinion, means that you grew that muscle substantially, right? Whether or not you actually improved the weight or the reps, you made it look super light. You were super efficient with the weight you had. So kind of like getting more out of less weight. It's a very important factor. So that's kind of how I'm looking at these machines, right? Like I can't add weight to a lot of these machines. Like this one I can because the stack is not empty. I don't know what it's called. It's like it doesn't have like glass over it or anything, so I could just put a plate on it. But there's a lot of machines that are covered totally. Like this, you can only put the pin in, and anything beyond that, like you can't put a 45-pound plate on because it's covered. So with those kinds of machines, you have to just become really efficient. Go from mildly, maybe even ego lifting to eventually having really clean form with the same weight. And yeah, you might be doing the same reps and the same weight after, 6 months. But 6 months ago, you were doing it like crap. Now you're doing it with perfect form. So now we're going to cut to me in the posing room any second now. So I'm going to let you guys ponder for a second.
All right, boys. So that was actually a pretty crazy leg pump. But you don't need to do squats for a leg day to be complete. I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do them at all, but the reality is when you do things like leg extensions, you're still getting very high motor unit recruitment in your whole quad. The only thing that you are getting less of is parts of the quad that aren't the rectus femoris, which is this muscle right here that runs down the middle. So this one right here goes to your knee and your hip, and it's a biarticulate muscle, which means it functions at its origin and insertion, right? It can actually pull both ways. So for example, this muscle that's in my quad can raise my hip as well as freaking extend my knee. Okay, I'm getting a little lost there. Now, I'm not trying to sound like a science nerd because I'm not a science nerd, but my point is when you are doing a leg extension, you target this rectus femoris muscle, which normally doesn't get targeted during squats, which means if you do squats, you can bias the rest of your quad more, like the vastus lateralis here, or the freaking, I think this is the vastus medialis or the vastus intermedius, all the muscles that don't flex the hip. And basically, you could get a better overall quad development if you do leg extensions and squats, but just like anything else, it'll all work, it'll all benefit your quads. So I'm not really too concerned with that, but I guess my point is people say, oh, there's something unique about squats. There really isn't. They're just really hard. And that's why people love them, because they feel like they're getting a better stimulus simply because the movement is hard. Whereas with a leg extension, you could put way more focus into that leg, right? My legs aren't huge yet, but they have been developing pretty rapidly if you watch my videos even from like 3 months ago. So anyway, just based off those principles, we're gonna hit like a couple poses and head out. So I like this one where, here, let me zoom in real quick because you can't see my calves anyway.
All right, so we start off with the most muscular pose, looking crispy like normal. Very excited about that. Then we have the, I don't even know what this pose is called, variation of the front lat. Then we have the front double bicep. All these poses are looking notably good. I switched the camera angle and made it a little bit higher than it normally is. And I feel like that accentuates my arms a lot more and my lats in general and just the V-taper. Whereas before I had the camera kind of at my like lower rib cage belly button area. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys tomorrow for shoulders, triceps, and whatever else.